Dr. Ericka, and welcome to a new episode of Growth Groove with Dr. Ericka. As I said, I've been getting some rest so that I can come to you with all of the energy that you totally deserve. So, this is my video show, and I come in on Tuesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern. So, welcome to another episode of Growth Groove with Dr. Ericka, where we're going to be talking about lessons from my month of me. Now, just to get us started, I want to do a little housekeeping. The first thing is, if you know someone that needs this, please share. Sharing is caring. The other thing is you can tag folks. Yeah, tag them all up in the comments. And if you're watching it later, hashtag replay in the comments. Let me know you are here. I'm just happy to have you, and I'm excited for you for also investing in yourself. So we did that bit of housekeeping. Now, if you don't already know me, you may. But if you're new to the world of Dr. Ericka, I am Dr. Ericka, Harvard-trained, double board certified psychiatrist. Yeah, that's what I do. And I'm the creator of the hit podcast, Better with Dr. Ericka. I am extremely passionate about helping you be better, do better, and live better. I do that through my adult telepsychiatry practice, my books, including Fix Your Fairy Tale, A Woman's Guide to a Great Life, Love, and Legacy, along with my corporate speaking, and my podcast, Better with Dr. Ericka. I do all of this to help busy people like you that show up for work and show up for your friends and show up for your family. You show up for your community, but you often don't show up to your own self the same way. And sometimes you look around and you're showing up for everybody, but folks aren't really showing up for you. So I wanted to come in and talk to you. So you might be wondering, Dr. Ericka, what is the month of me? So let me tell you a little story. I've been telling you the story in pieces for a while. The first thing is life has been a little hectic. There are so many things going on. I've already explained that I'm an empath, but you don't have to be an empath to be feeling drained or depleted, especially in the season. We've had so many things going on that it's almost hard to list all of the things that have been going on in society, let alone our own personal lives, from the never-ending pandemic to the finances related to the pandemic, to school shootings, including the one in Uvalde, to the supermarket shooting in Buffalo, to numerous forms of racial injustice, including violence, police violence, also just racial motivated killings. We had a war. We've had the reversal of Roe versus Wade. We've had a push to remove people's ability to vote. We've also had a push towards anti-LGBTQIA plus legislation. Those are just off the top because there's been so much going on. And ironically, this is June, so it's Pride Month. It's also PTSD Awareness Month. And a lot of these things we've been talking about are traumatic. Now, that doesn't include anything that happened in your childhood, your growing up, your personal experiences, all of those things, because those things are in there too. Adulting is hard. And I just wanted to tell you kind of what I did. So as you come in, just say hello and let me know where you are watching from. So for me, what happened is between doing my work as a psychiatrist, I was doing a lot of hospital work, which can be really intense, but has been very intense due to a lot of the logistics and changes that have happened with COVID, including people being sicker. And just being one of those people that part of the reason I help people show up for themselves is I am too one of those people that tend to give and give. And I was just realizing I was just drained. I was tired all the time. I wasn't sad. I wasn't mad. I was just tired. Like I go to work and then I was toast. I was done for the day. I just was tired. By about 12:30, 1 o'clock, I was ready for a nap. And I realized that, and this is why it's so important to have self-awareness, is that you have to be able to start identifying when your internal barometer, when things are out of whack. Because to start fixing them and to be intentional about it, you have to know there's a problem. So for me, I realized that I needed to do a change and do a shift to actually prioritize and focus on restoring, because I was so just depleted. I was exhausted. I was mentally exhausted. I was emotionally exhausted. I just energetically was tired and needed to do something specifically geared towards re-energizing. And I know a lot of people out there are just tired and exhausted and done. So for me, we started calling it my month of me. And it's this month that I was 100% focused, and the highest priority was recharging and healing for myself. So I want to talk to you about that experience because we're nearing the end of my month of me, and how you may be able to integrate some of the lessons that I learned into your life, because you deserve it. You deserve a great life. You deserve to do more than survive. You deserve to be able to feel joy. You deserve to not feel like you gave the best of yourself to everyone else. And that's one thing I realized is the best of myself was not coming to me. There just wasn't much left for me after I gave it all away. So let's go ahead and hop into some stories about what are some lessons. So the first thing I realized is that there is no specific time limit for healing. I originally thought that this was the month of me, but by week 1 or 2, I'd feel great, like, just resting and not going into the hospital. That after a week or two, I just feel refreshed. That was not the case. I was still tired. It's taken weeks to just totally start feeling restored. So the one thing I want to remind you, and that's the lesson, is there's no specific time limit for healing. We can all have the goals that we have, that we want to feel better in a day or two or whatever. But just like even with weight loss, you didn't gain it in one day. You're not going to lose it in one day or 1 week. Is to give yourself grace and not necessarily quit on a process because you're not getting results as fast as you want. Because healing takes time. Now, you may wonder, were some of the things I did? Now, one of the things that I did was I scheduled me time, and I scheduled huge blocks of me time. It wasn't 5 or 10 minutes. I realized for me, the best time of my day is the morning. That is when I am at my best. That's when I have my highest level of energy, my highest level of cognitive clarity. I made an active decision that I was going to give that time for myself. I was not going to give my best time of the day to everyone else. And everyone might not be able to do what I did, but I want to say sometimes you have to block off me time. Is I blocked up until 11 a.m. every day for a couple of weeks for me. And I didn't open my computer. I didn't make work phone calls. I didn't start on anything like that until after 11. And one of the things that was great is it just started breaking some habits that we're going to talk about as we move through here. So the next one is you have to listen to your body. Your body's going to tell you what you need. And a lot of times we get so caught up with thinking and thinking with our head. And sometimes we have to listen to our body. A lot of times your body will tell you what you need. Your body will tell you if you need more rest. Your body will tell you if you need some downtime or some me time or some time away from people. Your body will give you signals that you need boundaries and limit setting. Your body will send signals and tell you if there's certain food that is not working well for you because you will feel sick. So one of the lessons was listen to your body, that some of the symptoms and things that were going on with my body when I wasn't giving myself this time actually are gone now. I'm not having a bunch of headaches now that things have slowed down. So number 2 is listen to your body. Number 3 is get help. Sometimes coming up with these plans to restore yourself and to heal takes more than what's going to come from inside your head. Sometimes you need people with other skill sets. Sometimes you need people that can come out and have a bird's eye view or just a fresh view. So for me, there were 2 people that were very integral with this month of me. And one was my therapist, because as I tell you, I do see a therapist. The next one is I actually have a naturopathic physician who's been helpful. And so I can't tell you exactly who's going to be the best person for your team. Now, you may wonder, earlier before, and I was talking about burnout, I talked about my whole wellness team, and it was 1 million people, my chiropractor, my acupuncturist, all these people. And I realized for me, with the energetics of where I was, is balancing the benefit of working with someone with the added stress of that being on my schedule. And one thing I realized was that constant running was not restoring me. So I couldn't literally see everybody under the universe because I'd end up with so many appointments that it would be stressful. So I'd say you want to get help, but balance what's going to be really useful, but it's going to still give you space to recharge. That leads us to the next one. It's unlearning busyness takes practice. I'm going to say it again. Unlearning busyness takes practice. And I realized for me, I don't feel restored when I'm just running. So one of the great things about my me time is it was one of the way I practiced unlearning that busyness is it broke that habit of rolling over, open my phone, looking at my email, rushing into the kitchen, turning on my computer, sitting down at my laptop. It made it so that my mornings became mine and there wasn't so much urgency. Nobody was going to die. I was going to get to things eventually. But it helped to start breaking those patterns because it's almost, I wouldn't say it's always an addiction. For some people, it's almost an addiction to be busy. But society teaches us to have this compulsion to be busy and productive. And when you're in these spaces where sometimes you need to heal and recharge, you need to be able to honor the need of your body to rest and heal in a way that is not always aligned with being perpetually busy. But to unlearn those habits of just being busy and constantly scrolling, looking for things, typing things constantly on your computer all the time, sitting on the couch, even when you're resting with your computer, it just takes habits. It takes practice to unlearn those habits so that when you feel that need to either be busy or be productive or to do tasks, that feels much more contained versus it feeling like it's constant and it never stops. Nobody wants to be like Puffy. Can't stop, won't stop. Mm-mm. The next thing is prioritizing yourself takes practice. If you're like me, and most of you are like me somewhat, you may not be exactly like me, but part of the reason you're watching this is that this is a habit you have of putting work first, putting all these other people first, be it your friends, your family. It's just folks come first. Someone says they need something, you are there. You're like, what you need, how soon you need me there, I'll be there as soon as I can. And prioritizing yourself takes practice because you've been socialized to show up all the time for everyone other than you. And this is something that's huge for women and especially for Black women is this feeling like you have to be there, that you have to do everything and your needs aren't that important. And practicing prioritizing yourself, it's not something that's going to most likely come natural to most people. We've been taught that it's selfish to prioritize yourself. And I want to tell you it's not, because when you prioritize yourself, you have more energy and more capacity to actually help others. Not to mention, I've mentioned on my podcast, we don't want to take ends off the back of our lives because we weren't taking care of ourselves. But it takes practice. It's not something that if you've had this lifetime of prioritizing other people's needs and being of service, that you're not going to magically all of a sudden prioritize yourself. So I want you to give yourself grace as you practice that as a skill. Because I learned for me that it took some practice, and also with prioritizing yourself, one thing that naturally kind of rides along with that is actually limit setting and boundaries. And for a lot of us, boundary setting takes practice. It's not something, there's some people that are innately better at it than others. But even those that are good at it, it still takes practice and intentionality. So I want to encourage you to give yourself the space to practice prioritizing yourself and see what it feels like. How do you feel when you actually prioritize yourself? How do you feel when you're not last? I want you to know. So those are some of the big lessons I learned in my month of me, this month that has been really focused on recharge. I want to encourage you to take some space. It may not be a full month, it may not be a huge project like it was for me, but I want you to start really looking at what it looks like and how it feels to invest time and energy in your own healing and restoration. Because a lot of times those things don't happen accidentally. There's so many things that happen, so many things to do as an adult that if you're not intentional about those types of missions, it will not happen. So what I'd like to say is I'm going to do a little wrap up here. You ready? So number one, thanks for coming. If you missed part of it earlier, you can always hop on and watch the replay and catch it from the beginning. Yeah, you sure can. If you know someone that needs this, please tag them. If you also know someone that needs this, please share. Sharing is caring. If you're watching it later, didn't hop on at the very beginning, put hashtag replay in the comments. Would love to see it. We're going to do a quick recap and get you out of here. We are talking about some lessons from my month of me. This has been a month that I have taken to specifically focus on healing, recharging, and restoration because I was feeling depleted. During this month, I intentionally did things to be able to focus on that, where that was actually the number one goal. The number one goal of the month was actually this restoration and healing. Some things I learned was number one, there is no specific time limit for healing. It may not happen as fast as you want. You need to stick with it. Number two is you need to listen to your body. Your body tells you what you need. Number three is get help. Sometimes you can't always figure all this out on your own, and it's okay. Number four, unlearning that busyness takes practice. So you need to practice it. Also, prioritizing yourself takes practice. So you see a theme that these things are skills. They're intentional. You have to practice them and give yourself grace and give yourself permission. So thanks again for tuning in. This is Tuesday, this growth group with Dr. Ericka night. We took 1 week off from the podcast, but I'll have a new episode up on Tuesday. I'm really excited. It features Dr. Jada Moore Ruffin, a friend of the show. And you're going to want to turn that on. If you start missing me, you can always go back and look at old videos or listen to the podcast. You can find the podcast at Google Podcasts, Audible, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or betterthepodcast.com. Podcast is Better with Dr. Ericka. Tune in, check it out. You get more of me and some more things that may be helpful to you. Also, if you're feeling overwhelmed and you feel like you need some quality telepsychiatry, you're also welcome to go to AskDrGoodwin.com, AskDrGoodwin.com, and look at my practice and potentially set up a complimentary consultation. So that's what I got for you tonight. I look forward to seeing you next week at 7 p.m. Eastern, right after the 4th of July. Have a safe weekend. Take care of yourself. Also have a safe week. Make sure you prioritize taking care of yourself so that you can be there for others in a way that actually feels good and healthy. That's all I got for you. Good night.